Hello, world. It's me again. Um, I wanted to make sure that I give myself a fair look at who I really am and what I'm going through. Um, I don't always have to be done up to feel good about myself, and that's something that I've been dealing with a lot lately. Just not liking who I am, and we've been talking about like my last few videos. About forgiving ourselves and then the process of forgiving yourself and what that looks like or what that feels like. So, before we begin this message to my powerful people, I'm going to start with a prayer. Lord Jesus, thank you for another day. I pray that you will enter my heart. Let your love and your strength and your light cover this whole conversation, that I may benefit from it, and that you would reveal anything that's not of you, and that you will help me to be kind to myself. Amen. Um, if you're in agreement with that prayer, just amen yourself. Um, and I'm trying to stop saying a lot. I notice I do that. But I've been going through something where I don't like who I am, what I look like, and practicing forgiveness and what that looks like, and trying to stop a loop before it begins, or if it's already begun, how am I going to choose to feel in that moment? It's not easy because sometimes I feel like I'm doing it by myself, but I know that God is here. But it's those moments in life where you truly feel alone. And I feel like I've betrayed Jesus because for a temporary moment of peace, I'm great and I can be encouraging and I can look at myself and say, I love myself. You're beautiful. Look at what you're doing. You're doing such a great job. And then that loop starts to get louder. And I think that's where the challenge is for me. I have so many ways of coping with things. And sometimes it's harder than most days. And I just did a facial, guys, so I'm giving nighttime glow. But I really am trying to give a clear representation of what it feels like, what it looks like, somebody who's really trying to love themselves. Sometimes I didn't even know like if it's fair, because I didn't get a fair shot at love. And sometimes I get sad or I get upset because I feel like a panic coming, because I feel as if I've been cheated out of authentic love. And a healthy love has never been modeled to me. I've just sort of created what I thought that looked like for many years. And you can only run off those fumes for so long before you start to feel like everything that I'm thinking and the things that I'm using to cope to help me feel good in those peaceful moments, I'm panicking. Like, I want to quit. I want to give up. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm questioning my purpose. I'm questioning who I am. I'm questioning, if I slept on the right side, if I got off the bed the right side, if I prayed too much, if I didn't pray too much. Like, I'm questioning everything. And then I'm engulfed, I'm trapped in a loop that I've talked about in the previous videos. This is that moment that I'm going through it now. And sometimes I can see it on my face, and it scares me, if I'm being honest, because then I'm like looking at myself and I'm like, why don't you love yourself? What is it about you what's this void? Why do you always feel like you're just not going to make it. And it is those very small thoughts that just blow up. And I've had moments, and I don't know if anybody else feels like this, where you have anger, but you feel dumb for being angry because you have nothing to blame the anger on. It's just like, what? I was just happy 5 seconds ago. Or I was just happy all week. Where did this come from? So let me give you guys a little lineup of everything that's been going on in my life. Y'all are gonna get a little sneak peek into my place. I had to get my water, y'all. I'm super, super thirsty. Forgive me. But y'all drink some water too, or some tea. So yeah, I'm gonna try not to fall off this stool. Trying to be young and flexible. If I fall out of this stool, y'all, just know it didn't work out. It wasn't meant to be, because the way these legs set up, and there's no back on this stool here. But sometimes I feel like I sabotage myself, and that could clearly be what it is. I could really be sabotaging myself. So here are a few things that have been going on in my life. And then I would like to hear, what are you guys going through, and what stuck out the most to you over the weekend or this past week? What stuck out to you the most that's going to make a difference with the loop? Like, what's going to trigger, or what has triggered you? Have you ever been like 2 or 3 days past something, or 2 weeks past something, or a minute past something, and then all of a sudden you're like, I suck. I ruined it. Why am I still here? What? That's sort of like how I'm feeling. It's like a backlash. It's like the after effect of feeling well. If anybody's ever struggled with mental health, uh, that's just been something I've always struggled with, where I could just be so proud of myself one minute and then the next feel like I haven't accomplished anything. So I'm going to give y'all a little background on how my week and past weekend went. So last week was great. I learned a lot of things. The heat was hot. It was disrespectful. I'm trying to date, and that's not easy after being married for like 10 something years, and then coming out of that shell, developing into an independent person, realizing that I depended too much on someone else, so much so that I didn't recognize who I was. And so I had one of those triggers this past weekend, because I was like, I'm over my marriage. Like, God's healed me. Y'all, when I signed those divorce papers, and I mean this in the most humble way, I've never felt so good. It was like, I felt liberated. It's like I could breathe. But it was also very scary at the same time, because I thought I needed this person. You know, I thought like, oh my gosh, I was going to die, y'all. Literally, I felt like I was going to die. It was the worst feeling that I had felt at that time. And so I decided to start dating, and it hasn't really been any luck for me, and I'm not really too enthusiastic about it. I'm not eager, but I do sort of like get myself out there. No, wait a minute now. I'm lying. See, it was that fast. I just lied, y'all. I'm not. And I'm being honest. I'm being honest. I really haven't been trying, but I try enough with my comfort level. Let's put it that way. As long as I feel comfortable, and that doesn't mean it's always good, because you want to get out of your comfort zone. But the little baby steps that I'm taking, it has been scary. It has been traumatizing. It has been like, girl, you need to go on home, and you need to go ahead and just watch Golden Girls on repeat, and The King of Queens, and The Office, and just sort of like be in your own world. But I know that I was truly made for companionship. My husband is just getting himself together, like I need to be doing right now, which I think I'm taking the right steps so far. Anyway, I got stood up. on my first date. And here's the thing. So I saw this place that I was really, really, before even dating, before like whatever. You know, like sometimes you paint a picture of yourself or what you want to do for that weekend, and then you never do it because you fell into your bed and you accidentally didn't get up and do anything for the whole weekend. That's me. That's your girl. I fell into the bed and I accidentally stayed in the bed all weekend. Not gonna lie to y'all. Hmm. Isn't this cute? One of my kiddos got this for me. I just think it's so precious. So after I accidentally fell in the bed, a guy that I had been talking to just for like maybe like 2 weeks or so wanted to go on a date and meet. But I had already been looking at this place. It's a tea house. And I was like, this is just my style. It's something I feel like I will feel comfortable doing. It's my scene. It's laid back. And it's just innocent, pure fun, you know? This was something that, like, I sign up for festivals, guys, on Facebook, events, and I never go. It's just like a world that I paint as I see myself exploring. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go to the Hobo Festival and pick out flowers and talk to people about how they're weaving baskets and find a new craft. And that never happened. But through being stood up, I would have never been to this tea house that I was telling you guys about. So I got there, and before even then, he's like telling me, and I'm not going to mention names or I'm not going to talk bad about the young man. Life happens. I don't take it I'm not taking it personal because it's like the surprise in the middle. We'll get there. So we're just peeling the layers right now. So I get there. Before then, like I was saying, we're messaging. And honestly, Sunday, I sort of woke up like this, like hoping my phone wouldn't go off. Because I remember, he was like, I really want to see you Sunday. Let's hang out. And I'm just like holding my breath, texting my girlfriends, texting my little sissy, and like, and they're all cracking jokes like, you're not going, are you? You're not going to go. Just have fun, breathe a little bit. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I am a stand-up type of girl. Once I commit to something, I do my best to follow through. So that's exactly what I did. So I'm living my life. I'm in the bed watching Catfish, probably not healthy, just sort of living, minding my own business. And then he texted me at about 2:30. I thought I was in the clear because I was like, look, if he hasn't said anything by 12, then it's over. Because he had mentioned it, the week prior and I think Friday before, but I didn't hear from him after that or that Saturday morning or afternoon until a little bit later in the afternoon. And so I got that message and I was like, ooh, let it please be a notification for a wig that I'm not supposed to be buying. And it was him. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to have to get up, get dressed, smile, put on some clothes, take a shower, brush my teeth. These are all things that we should be doing anyway, like regardless if anybody's like watching or they ask us out. Like these are things that are already done, by the way. But, as I'm getting ready, I text him because he was open with me that Friday night. He was like, I'm nervous. And I just asked why, because honestly, I was like, what are you nervous about? I forgot that we had a date. Y'all, I'm backtracking. I'm all over the place. But Friday night, he did text me, and he told me he was nervous. And I was like, why? And he's like, I just don't want to mess it up. And I was like, well, how could you do that? If we have great intentions, we're, just trying to respect each other and know each other, it should be fine. And, he led on to say, I'm nervous about what to wear, what to talk about. And so I gave him a few topics. Already right there was like a red flag because it's like, we're both nervous. You just have to put a little bit of effort in. But, somebody dealing with anxiety, which he was very open, I completely understood, like just, freezing up in, tense situations. Nevertheless, Saturday comes and I get up and I brush my teeth and I make my bed and, I take a shower as I'm getting ready and everything. And so I said, I appreciate his open, heart towards me about how he felt about the upcoming date. So let me just tell him I'm nervous too. So I'm like, I'm nervous, but I'm excited to see you. And he's like, me too. So here I am on the phone, Facebook messaging my sister, how do I look? How's my hair? She's like, I don't know. And, now I'm like panicking because I'm like, she loves me. She lives for fashion, so I respect her. And so I'm like, okay, so I get changed into something more cash. The first one was, but I guess because I wasn't feeling it, y'all. My heart really wasn't in it, and that doesn't mean that it wasn't going to work out. It was just whatever. So I messaged him and I said, I'm heading out the door. I wanted to treat myself to an Uber's, a sort of a Sunday afternoon treat, and just sit back, enjoy the atmosphere driving instead of, driving in the heat. I have AC, but it's like it's not even on when you live in Texas. So I wanted to be aware of my surroundings and just sort of look around and, relax. So I get there and I text my friend. I'm like, it's 5:34. I'm about to leave. And she's like, laugh out loud. Just stay there. He might be running late. It's fine. 5:45, 5:50, 5:55, 6 o'clock, 6:15. And then at that point, I was sitting there and I thought to myself, I'm like, I just got stood up. Now, y'all, wait a minute. I'm not that out of touch where I just found out at 6:15, like, oh, this guy is ghosting me or he stood me up. But maybe like around 5:40, I was like, okay, this is odd because, you know, we spoke earlier today, so I don't really understand, what's going on. Maybe he doesn't have good reception or whatever. Things happen. He does have two kids, by the way, so I was trying to take in consideration of his priorities. But a flag went off, and I was like, well, he told me he doesn't get his kids until next weekend. So I'm sitting there and I move from the bar. It's like a tea bar that they have. And I talked to the lady about the different mixes that they have and elixirs and, you know, excuse me, guys, different moods or feelings, like mood enhancements that you can add to the drinks. So I'm like just sitting there and there's four people there. And I just go, thank you, Jesus. Like it's not crowded. It's very calm. The lady was so kind and helpful. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, this sort of sucks. I've been stood up and I've been there for like 10 minutes. So then I start looking around and I go, I'm doing it. I'm outside, like by myself, like enjoying a peaceful atmosphere that I like, that has always been up here, a hope of mine anyway. And so I go to a little lounge area that they have. I get up from the bar. Just the chairs were uncomfortable. So there's a nice couch that they have laid out. Nice setup, board games, huge windows. And you can just sort of see the downtowners sort of just walk around, enjoy their friends and family and loved ones. And even some people just enjoying, being out by themselves, what I would assume. I honestly thought that if I ever got stood up, I thought that I would cry or be angry. But the takeaway for me as I was going home was I got to get outside of my home. I got to finally go to a place that I've always dreamed about. Now, it's not like Disney or, some beach, but for somebody who struggles with anxiety and codependency from my last marriage, doing new things by yourself could be very scary. And I was thinking to myself, like, why did you need to meet a stranger to get to know yourself? Why did you get out of your comfort zone for a complete stranger? Why did I get out of my comfort zone for a complete stranger? Like, as I'm unpacking that, I'm thinking to myself, like, I was just in the bed accidentally, eating, minding my business, watching the same shows, liking places that I was like that would be nice to go to. Oh, I'm gonna go to that, and then accidentally fall in the bed again next weekend. But I hurt my own feelings because I wouldn't even do it for myself. And when I didn't even feel like doing it for myself, I did it for a complete stranger who did not care about me, who left me high and dry. Didn't acknowledge me, didn't message me back, didn't call me back, didn't care to text anything about my well being or anything like that. And I get it, life happens. You know, he suffers with anxiety, so he says, and I'm just going to take him at his word. But it hurt my feelings because I was like, Lynn, that's what I call myself, my middle name when I'm getting serious. I was like, Lynn, you're hurt because you don't think you're good enough for certain experiences. Like things that I'm supposed to be experiencing by myself, there's some odd part of me that feels like I don't deserve it until I have someone in my life who enjoys me. And that sounds, I don't know, it sounds crazy saying it out loud. But I was so distraught, not behind being stood up, but the fact that I stood myself up. I set up so many dates for wait a minute now. I'm having a moment. I set up so many dates for myself. I set up so many opportunities. I was interested in so many events and signed up for so many things, and I didn't show up for myself. Why am I going to get upset with a total stranger? They don't owe me anything, but it's what I owe myself, y'all. Listen to yourself, girl. Now, these videos are for me because I would like to document my growth. God has taken me through something, and through this is my journaling and my diary, but I would be happy to hear, once I start sharing my story, like, where are you getting from this? And share with me your experiences or whatever. But I'm really thinking to myself, you literally didn't want to be here today, but you wanted to go, just under the reason for dating. Like the category would be dating. And I'm not stuck on dating, which was so weird, but I also don't understand why I didn't allow myself to experience things that I already have an interest in without someone else, because I did it, and I did it by myself, and I had a good time, and I made it back home to fall accidentally back in the bed, and I felt good. But then today, I'm starting to feel the emotion that I should have felt yesterday. And this is what I was talking about in the beginning of the video. Like, have you ever been fine and then like a week later or a day later or a month later, you're finding your emotions are catching up with what happened. And I don't know if that's because I was already anxious about the date and I wasn't in the mindset, if I'm being honest, to date. I wasn't ready. And this I know now, but that's another, high five moment for me, because it's like I'm not ready to date, but also that doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of having someone in my life or having companionship. It doesn't mean I'm not worthy of experiencing things by myself. It doesn't mean I'm not worthy of even being scared to do something but still doing it anyway. Like, I am worthy of that. Shout out to my bestie, Kristen. She got this bracelet for me that says worthy. I love it so much, and I love her so much. It's my soul sister right there. But I'm just thinking, like, I think that's where the anger is coming from, and I've never took the time to unpack those flashback emotions where it's like, okay, wait a minute, I don't went to work to and from and was fine. And now that I'm settling down and in a peaceful state, I'm starting to feel old emotions that didn't register at the time that any of this happened. So today I'm feeling anxious and upset and sad. And I'm questioning my value, or I'm questioning how valuable I think I am to myself, because I don't think we ever think about how valuable we are. And sometimes that sounds selfish. It's like, what? I mean, the only time you really hear that is like, I'm a valuable player for this team, in their blah, blah, blah press conference, or however them sports things work. And then, there, in my life at least, I haven't found, or I haven't experienced anything where somebody's like, I am valuable, okay? I deserve to go out. I haven't yet. I see it a lot on, videos and whatever and motivational, but it's like at that time, it's like, are you saying that because that's the topic of your video? Or are you saying that because you've had a light bulb moment like me? At first, I used to think that having these flashback emotions were because of depression, because I didn't know how to verbalize what just happened to me. I just knew how to keep going and pushing through that feeling instead of saying, hey, I think I'm really upset with myself in the position I put myself in, or I think I'm upset about all the opportunities that I've missed because I've procrastinated, or I stayed in the bed too long, or I allowed anxiety to get a hold of me. If I can put my anxiety to the side for a stranger, I got to, and I know that's not proper, but I got to do better for myself. This is a shame. I mean, it's almost embarrassing. I think that's the feeling that I'm feeling, y'all. Lynn, that's the feeling you're feeling. Yeah, I just spoke to myself. Yes, that's the feeling I'm feeling. I'm feeling embarrassed because it's like, I'm not embarrassed about getting stood up. I'm embarrassed about standing myself up in life. I'm embarrassed about not showing up for myself like I should have. I'm embarrassed about not valuing myself. I'm embarrassed about making plans with myself that I knew I never would follow through with. I'm embarrassed with the opportunities that I've declined because I judged myself or I didn't value myself. I'm embarrassed because I gave too little when I'm worth so much. That's for real. And thank you, Jesus, for this moment. It's a lot to unpack, but now I can forgive myself. So now I guess this is a perfect example for part 1 and 2. This is me going through the loop, the cycle, and trying to identify. This is my first time ever doing anything like this. I thought that I was really doing it right. Some emotions are sneaky. I think that's why sometimes it's hard for us, at least for me, to figure out how to forgive myself, because I can't identify the trigger. I can't identify the emotion. I can't identify the place that I'm in when I felt like that. So this is something new to me. And as I'm speaking to myself, I just feel like crying a little bit, or like saying thank you to myself, pulling a Snoop Dogg. Like, thank you for acknowledging yourself. Thank you for validating yourself. Thank you for realizing when you're coming up short. These are things that you can turn around. These are things that I can turn around for sure. I don't want situations like this to jade me, make me jaded, or like feel like I'm too good enough to be out there on my own. Like, I need, look, I'm too good to be out here by myself. I'm too good. I'm looking too good to be outside by myself. Okay, well, be inside by yourself. Keep that up. See how that feels. Sit with that. Unpack that emotion. Because these are things that I know for sure, that I can always come home. This is my safe place. I do have true friends who care about me, a tribe of my own, and growing. I'm starting to love myself enough to take time and unpack so that I can forgive myself, because it really does feel like I'm resentful because of me. Y'all, I'm speechless because this is like, wow. It's like, wow. You know, at the top of the video, I was talking about I never had an example of love, or nobody showed me. And that's probably why some of the habits that I formed could easily validate, if I had told anybody my story and everything that I've been through, sometime I will with you guys. I'll pray, and whatever God wants me to reveal and heal, then I will be happy to do so. But until then, I've gone through a lot, and I know that a lot of other people have, probably worse than me, which is why I feel resentful a little bit, because I've taken something away from me that God gave to me for free, and that's His love, and that's opportunity, and that's power, and that's authority, and I completely stepped on it. I stood up God's gift. God showed up, and I stood Him up. God showed up, and I stood Him up. And I'm just grateful for His forgiveness, because I know that all have fallen short of the glory of God. But just to know that I never took enough time to unpack emotions, because I didn't know how to, but I didn't know how. And there's nothing wrong with saying it. I just didn't know how. And God started showing up, He has been showing up in my life. And I stood Him up so many times, left Him hanging a little bit, like just sort of like, it just gives me like a picture of Him on the cross and how He died there. And just great light and resilience and strength. Because, I'm passing out if I get a paper cut. So I don't even understand. But to know that somebody showed up for me, no matter the cost, no matter my lack, no matter my insecurities, no matter my ignorance, no matter my fears, no matter my mistakes, no matter my lack of faith, no matter what, He never left me. He never forsake me. He never stood me up. There's never been a moment I've been outside or inside or in a dark place and God didn't swoop up and just embrace me. He has. Now that I know better, I definitely can do better. And I just want to show up the best I can for God. Because that's really what it's all about. The root of my anger and just feeling like this, and I just got this, like, I stood Jesus up, like, this just came to my heart. But to know God is to love Him. And He is in everything. And when I deny His presence, I'm standing Him up. I can go outside, I can go to a park, I can relax and play music, I can try all the scary places that I've always wanted to try, Even if there's 4 people in the room, I can sing at karaoke. I can pick up a new crafting, a new hobby. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. It's just, I have to let that go and forgive myself. And now that I know it, I feel like that's a bigger part of my healing journey. Because y'all, look, this video is not going the way I thought it was. I'm literally just talking. I don't know who this is going to reach, but I do know that it's going to reach God's ears, his heart, you know. I'm just pouring out all my insecurities and just to be seen by him. Just revealing myself. And it is embarrassing, or it's just uncomfortable because I don't ever show this side of myself. But I think that it's very natural to be transparent when you're trying to heal. I can't hide anything from Jesus, so what's the point in lying to myself? I don't need to lie to myself, you know, anymore. I don't need to lie to myself anymore. Letting go of emotional baggage is hard, but I think that if you sit down and you start to unpack, there's a healing in that, but there's a hurting in that. I don't want to equate the two, hurting and healing. Helping and healing. I'm helping myself. I'm helping myself be the best woman that I know how to be for my future self, for future generations, for God to be the glory, for him, he's number one. But this unpacking and forgiving is hard. Like I said, you know, I try my best to really put out into the world, not on social media, but in my actual life, the love that I give to people and the time that I spend and the support that I try to give for others. But I don't ever give that to myself, and that's just something I need to learn. I need to help myself. Sometimes helping hurts because it's a challenge and it's different, and then sometimes you just don't know how to help. And I think that's the best time. When you need to try to help yourself so you can realize that God is all the help you need. Because you could try 1, 2, 3 tries. You could do A, B, C. You could write it on paper. You can type it through text. You can do a voice message, you know. But what does any of that mean if you're really not doing it for the right reason? I don't want to start back over again. You know, I want every time for my destination and certain challenges in my life to not finish at the starting line. I actually want it to be a finish line and not like a marathon, not like a loop, not like, you know, those hamsters that are just going and they're getting their life, they're running, they think this is the best thing in the world, while the actual world around them is changing. People are dying, people are growing. Your style changes, your personality changes, you develop new character traits about yourself. And I'm just stuck in a glass case in my own world spinning and letting everything around me, you know, pass me by. Not forgiving myself enough to try new things. Why do I feel like I need to be in a group or be with someone else? I grew up in a family where we did do most things, my sisters and I together, so that makes sense. But I'm 35 now. You know, it's like you you've got too many crutches, Lynn. It's time to start walking on your own. these are things that I didn't even think. I thought those were my strengths. The fact that I'm able to get along with people, that I like to do team building things, that, I like to invite people, that I know or getting to know to talk and everything like that. But am I really making a difference if I'm sticking to what I know? And that's something I do need to forgive myself for. I told y'all that these videos are for me, my journey, and I'm hoping that through my journey I gain a lot of hopeful hearts, healthy hearts, a tribe of my own where we can lift each other up, where we can give advice, where we can share our dreams, our aspirations, our goals. Not everything's perfume and lilies and sprinkles and glitter and sunshine and rainbows. This we do know. But we can change the narrative. We can. I could be sad, like, oh man, I got stood up and da. But now that stood up opened me getting stood up helped me heal. Me getting stood up by someone allowed me to see where I'm weak. I'm not mad at him. Honestly, thank you, Jesus. God bless him. Because if it wasn't for that situation, I would have never trusted God to put me in a place where I'm okay. Just by myself, doing something that I enjoy. Goodness gracious. I'm not going to do much by just sitting around the house. And I'm not just sitting here, but I'm a homebody. And that's nothing that I care to change for, but the anxiety because I don't want to give myself better, because I'm scared to give myself better, because I'm afraid that it will be, you know, taken away, or it was just a misunderstanding, or it was just for fun, or it was a habit, or it was a mistake. And I do know that everything is for a season and there's a reason for it all. Excuse me. But if I'm not living in my season to experience growth and change and excitement and gratefulness, then yeah, I'm continuing a cycle of abuse towards myself. And I have to release that in the name of Jesus and let it go. All insecurity has to go. All self-consciousness has to go. All jealousy has to go. And you know what? That's a word for me that I don't really relate to. But I think that sometimes jealousy can be disguised as certain emotions. Just people having the ability to do things like, man, oh, I wish I could skate, but I suck. Or I wish I could take a cooking class, but I have nobody to go with. So that's where if I had someone to go with, I'd be going too. I think that like passively people are jealous and they don't realize it, but nobody really wants to admit it. That's one of those other emotions that we have to unpack, but that's a different story, different day. But I do think that, and that's why I want to release it, because sometimes you could say something in passing like, man, I wish I had some friends I can go to the tea house with. It's like, well, why don't you go to the tea house and you'll have friends that you might meet there that y'all can make this a once a month type of thing. Or why don't you go to Barnes and Noble so you can run into people, or a book that might be very helpful so that you don't have the same mindset. And it's like, oh, Lord, I really don't want to be doing all that. I get it. Trust me, I already know myself. My sister, like, I'm horrible at technology, and she's probably the one that helped me a little bit. Please, thank you, with all of this. But It's not for me. Technology's not for me. So I know that this is God's calling for my life because technology usually breaks. If I even look at it, technology needs an upgrade. I don't know, the tablet, the laptop, the phone, the camera, it's all the same. But I'm trying because my sister will give me a hard time. She's like, "Hey, did you get this done?" And I'm like, "No, I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't do it." And she's like, "I knew you wouldn't." And she's very persistent, positively persistent. And I appreciate that about her. So, again, a challenging circumstance, my sister shows up for me. I don't have to do it alone. Not that I'm using her, but I think God puts people in our life to reveal certain things about ourselves, or he's just giving you, as one of my best friends says, a God hug, or a kiss from heaven, because it's like, I'm not equipped to do this, or I don't have you know the knowledge or whatever the qualifications for this, and God will place you in a situation where you meet someone who'd be happy to help you, or y'all can work together and accomplish so many things. So that's why I want to take a chance on myself. No, you know what? I'm not going to take a chance on myself because I give up too easily on myself. I'm going to ask God to help my unbelief because that's really what it is. Some part of me believes that I can't do it. Some part of me believes that I'm not worthy. Some part of me feels like I have no value. Some part of me feels as if, what difference do I make? I'm odd, weird. Yes, you are. You're a peculiar person. God said that. He made me to be set apart. So, of course, I think I'm going to feel odd about certain atmosphere and places that I put myself, but I have to get there first. I have to get there first. So, yeah, I guess I just unpacked my forgiving moment, and I'm glad that you guys were able to witness that. Now I just sort of have to decompress and, you know, follow up with God about what He wants me to do. Because I asked God to reveal my heart and to break me and make me something, beautiful, and open the eyes to my heart. And He's definitely doing that. God is the truth. And I feel so happy now. I think I'm just like decompressing. I feel like I could really just sleep peacefully. I will lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. Yeah, He does. Because everything's going to be okay. And like I tell you guys, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to do it together. Lynn, we're going to do this together. You'll look back on this video and be like, whoa. You're going to remember this day in your life. And you're going to be forever changed. So let's, start a forgiveness challenge. Now, I'm not saying we're going on tour with this. Now, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Let me just say this. Sometimes we spiral. So before we start this challenge, it's just going to be a 3-day challenge. You can do it for the remainder of the week, or you can do it for this weekend, where you are mindful, because it really does take a lot out of you. Guys, I just felt a calm. Like I just want to go to sleep. I've never been, y'all, it's 8:10. I'm usually up until 11 o'clock at night, wrestling with my thoughts. WWE SmackDown in the brain. For real, for real. So let's do a 3-day challenge. If you feel like you have enough energy to do it on a weekday if you work, then I encourage you to do it. But it sort of just like, I can feel all the blood just sort of like circulate. Oops, I'm just popped. I can feel all the blood circulate through my body now, and I feel a sense of sleep and calm that only God could give to me. And I haven't taken my ashwagandha or melatonin gummies, so God is so good. He's so great. He's so marvelous. He's an on-time God. Isn't it great that God is the same today, tomorrow, forever. Isn't it great that when we don't show up and we stand ourselves up or we stand God up, He finds you? If you could just be still. Whoa! Y'all, I was just praying about how to be still and how to hear God's voice. And literally just now, I think that's the feeling that I'm getting. I used to argue with myself about, like, well, what is that? What is that? What is still? What is being still? What does peace mean? And I know some of it means I need to shut up a little bit, but, what are you going to do? I'm a working progress. God's not through with me yet. So, guys, good night. I'm going to go decompress and just go to bed with a grateful heart, full of thanksgiving. And I'm also going to go to bed tonight, or if you're starting your day, but for me, it's nighttime. But I'm going to go to bed knowing that God is standing. He hasn't stood, and He definitely didn't, stand me up, but He is standing. When I stood myself up, he stood for me. He's still standing. He's the great I am, and there's no other love like His. And it's starting to develop inside of me. And I just want people to see that it's not easy. I want people to see where your brain can go even when God is using you. When God is showing you and telling you that you have a purpose on your life, nothing else matters. But I want to be real. There's no faking. We're not faking the funk over here. I don't need to pretend. Life is already dress up. Y'all, life is dress up. It's a playhouse. It's a theater. But I'm showing up. Real. And I just want everybody to see, including myself, that it's going to get better if I take the time to be still and hear God and let Him flow through me. And show myself grace and patience and peace. So, guys, until next time, love yourself. And when you can't stand, Jesus will. But keep trying to get up again. Sit down, take a break, but get back up again. Unpack those emotions and then forgive yourself. And guess what? If you didn't know, now you know. Take your time getting to know yourself. Take your time getting to know yourself, because people and situations will zoom out of your life and judge you in the same breath. So get to know yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. The world needs more of you. Anyway, good night, guys.